because it's a very coherent, story. The way they told it, I think it's more coherent than the way I lived it. But the bottom line, I said to Bill, I said, look, just make it about the work. And I don't care so much about me, but I think the work is worth focusing on and getting out there a little bit. And that's what he did. That's what they did. They focused on the work, and I think that I appreciate that.
Did you see any insights that you hadn't thought of yourself? Did they make connections as you're sitting? I mean, I can't imagine sitting and watching my life played before me for the first time.
Me either. I got to see it a few more times to figure it out. Surprises, I don't know. Well, first of all, it was all surprises. These wonderful things everybody said about me. I was like, wow, I mean, Paul McCartney and Mike Stoller and, everybody, I mean, just making these unbelievable comments were just wonderful,
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things you don't do in person with each other, right? You don't see those things in people's faces. So that was a nice surprise to hear all those wonderful comments that these guys got from these interview subjects.
I think they'll say it is like a genius artist.
You gotta do. You know what I mean? You just do what you gotta do.
Right, that's it. Okay. Do what you gotta do.
That's the genius artist right
Okay.
here. Bill Teck.
I'm not just a real genius. Thank you.
Can you tell us about the perspective that you took, and the skeleton that you hung the life story on in a beautiful 2.5 hours?
Thank you. It was important for us to tell, like Stevie says, when he finally acquiesced for Maureen, finally helped me convince him. Thank you again, Maureen. Wanted it to be about the work, but we were ready to do the deep dive, and Stevie really does live in his work, as you saw. It's not one of those things where there's like some secret crazy thing. It's pretty much, this is the guy, he lives all in his work like that. So it made it really easy to do it. I thought, well, if he's a disciple, let's show what he's a disciple of. So we wanted to go back and show, a little bit about when the Beatles came, a little bit about Alan Freed, a little bit about all these different movements in rock and roll, and the politically conscious movement in rock and roll, all these different things, and kind of say, okay, well, this is what he's a disciple of, and where's it going? And really kind of create a story, just not create, but show and reflect the story of rock and roll as it evolves, and then Stevie's place within it. And you talk about making things, really diving in and doing the personal work. I got a call from David Chase, and I don't know David Chase. He's awesome. I think, hey Bill, this is David Chase. Stevie gave me your number. I go, yeah. He goes, you interview his brother and sister? Not yet, but I plan to. You got to get the brother and sister. It can't just be about the work. No problem, David. You don't say no to David Chase. And little things like that, but to really try to reflect all the aspects of Stephen's life.
That was great. And to me, he's a disciple of life, the ups and the downs over the course of your extraordinary life, that you learned lessons from every single one of them. And what to me seemed like, oh, it was the worst thing I could have done. And then you turn around and say, well, if I hadn't done that, then this and this and this and this wouldn't have happened. It was almost a Zen Buddhist approach to life. Do you have a spiritual path?
Well, I thought that was the important reason to write the book, and in order to and okay the movie. I thought it could be useful. That was the point. Just using me as symbolically. I mean, a lot of people are going to have their first dream end. And then what happens? And this is, I think, the part that's important. And it could have been anybody, obviously, but your first dream ends, and if you could not hang in there and not through self-pity become an alcoholic or a drug addict or commit suicide, all of which I considered, and if you could just hang in there, destiny could have big plans for you that you had no idea about. And what happened with me is everything I've accomplished in my life happened after I thought my life was over. Okay? Literally, my life was over, you know? And suddenly, you know, everything I've ever done happened, you know? So I think people can hopefully get something from that, you know? It doesn't matter who it was, but this can happen to anybody where you know, you hit the wall for whatever reason, and you manage to just hang in there and try and move forward somehow, you know? And, you know,